Coming up on today's show, we recap the announcements for the Game Awards. PlayStation finally has customization for PlayStation 5, and Henry Cavil is talking about Mass Effect again. What's good, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the What's Good Games podcast, your source for video game news, commentary, analysis, and funny stuff every Friday. I'm Andrea Renee, joined, as always, by Miss Brittany Brombacher.
Hell ho ho ho. I just said
I love that.
Ho ho ho. Thanks.
It's great. Very
the
festive.
brain was making connections mid-sentence, and that's what came out. But I appreciate that you liked it. Thank you, my dear.
Well, we're both sort of wearing festive holiday wear. So Brittany has this. Let me see here. So this is like 16-bit or 8-bit sprites, Final Fantasy 9 sprites.
Yes. Oh shit, girl, look at you.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe that I recognized that. You know who it was? It was
what?
It's behind your hair, over your left, like just under your left shoulder. The little mage character, Vivi?
Vivi, yes, or as you call him, MJ.
MJ. Yes, that was the one that made me recognize it. And then of course I'm kicking it old school with Grumpy Cat.
I love the Grumpy Cat. I mean, I've always thought you were an attractive human, Andrea, but the fact that you just correctly guess what this is makes me think that you are 10 times more attractive than you were before.
Yes, this is all I want is for Brittany to like me, notice me, senpai.
Is that how I justify my life? Is when people are like, all I want is Britt to notice me, and then I feel good about myself. Okay, noted.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad that you are here. I'm glad that I'm here and we're recording an episode because we had a bunch of production this past weekend that had some substantial technical difficulties. So I want to give a big shout out and thank you to Brianna Manuel and Danny Pena, who are going to be on our upcoming What's Good Game Awards and most anticipated episodes. I do want to make a caveat for people listening. The most anticipated episode almost got lost. We had a catastrophic production PC failure where everything hard crashed and I thought I lost the entire recording and was very sad panda, but I did some internet sleuthing and we managed to recover the file, but at a cost. The video is definitely borked. So if you are an audio listener and you're only on podcast, you're in the clear, but if you are watching at youtube.com/whatsgoodgames, I apologize in advance. That video, you maybe just want to look away. Maybe just don't watch it. It's bad.
You know, it's literally creepy. And it reminds me of, someone who's seen a lot of horror movies in my day. It looks like a tape that's been possessed by the spirit of one of the worst devils possible. It's all glitchy and we're all moving in abnormal ways. But the audio is, you say, totally fine.
Yeah.
So, if you're looking for a good horror movie on New Year's Eve, got you covered.
Yeah, watch our video and hopefully you survive. Welcome to the show, whether this is your first episode or your 254th episode. We're glad that you guys are here. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Chewy's Godson, Alex Rigopulos, David Iacolucci, Faris Attieh, Justin Foshee, Matthew Goderre, and Punkdefied. And if you want to help support What's Good Games, you can do so at patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. And it looks like we have a couple new podcast reviewers.
We have Dow Zero. I don't know. How would you say DAUX?
Yeah, Dow.
Whatever.
That sounds right.
Thank you, Dow Zero. We have Leon is Sexy. Assuming you're talking about Leon S. Kennedy. I could not agree more. Gotta love that bowl cut from the 90s. It's not really a bowl cut. Bullish. The Nick Carter cut is what I like to call it. I digress. Vegas Rin and I Heart York. Thank you so much, friends. We have been getting a lot more podcast reviews lately, and Andrea, our rankings in those little algorithms have been going up.
Excellent.
I don't think so. It's all thanks to you guys, so we really appreciate it.
Yes, it is. Thank you, everybody who takes some time out of their day to help our little show. This show is also brought to you by ExpressVPN, but we'll talk more about that later. Let's get into the news. So because we have to record this podcast a little bit early because I'm traveling for the holidays, we are going to be recapping a little bit of the announcements that came out at the Video Game Awards, along with a couple of other news stories. So apologies that we don't have the latest, greatest, hot, fresh, tasty news items for you. But hopefully you will still enjoy the episode nonetheless. It was an interesting night at the Game Awards 2021. I thought that the awards themselves were a little It's fine. And we'll get into that in just a second. But the announcements seem to be okay. We had a couple big announcements. So what do you want to talk about first, Britt? You want to talk about who won, or you want to talk about what was announced?
Let's talk about who won.
All right. Which category do you want to lead off with?
Let's start with, I have this article here from, I believe it was IGN. And so I just picked and choose some of the categories, the ones that are most relevant to us. So let's just start with the big one, Game of the Year. So the nominees for this one were Deathloop, It Takes Two, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village. Now, It Takes Two winning, it surprised me. I think it's worthy of winning. Okay, let me think. Okay, I'm thinking out loud here. All of these are great games. They're fantastic games. There's not a clear-cut winner this year. You know what I mean? It's not like
Correct.
years past where you've had that one just like mwah, chef's kiss game that you know is just going to sweep all of the awards. I think any of these could have won, and I would have been like, okay with it, cool. But the fact that It Takes Two won is just so surprising to me. Not because I don't think it's worthy of it, because I loved that game, but I think it's just because it's such a unique game in itself,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a game built from the ground up for co-op. It's it's a story revolving around a family, two parents who are on the brink of divorce, but they're trying to make it work for their kid. But where this game really shines, even though I think it lacks a little narratively, is just the gameplay and the unique mechanics that every level in this game brings to the table. It's so well acted. It's such a fun art direction. And so, yeah, like I can see this winning. But what about you, Andrea? What did you think about it?
I didn't spend enough time with this game to accurately judge if it deserved to win Game of the Year or not. I think based off the reviews I read and the previews that I read, the short time that I did spend with it, it deserved a nomination. Did it deserve to win over some truly spectacular games like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Deathloop, and Psychonauts 2? I don't know. My gut says no, especially since, I think that, a game like this is not as on its face Game of the Year qualification, but, I really want to reserve my final judgment until I finish the game.
That's fair. Yeah, well, it was an interesting year. I think of all the years we've been doing this show, this was the one where I was like, man, there's just no clear-cut winner. I mean, even Resident Evil Village, I don't know. Like, I think that's what I voted for personally when we submitted our votes, but just one of those years.
And I also think that it's tough when we talk about Game of the Year. I actually did a Twitter Spaces on what is Game of the Year anyway. So I had mentioned this on the show before, but I'm going to be hosting Twitter Spaces multiple times a week for the next couple of months as part of the Twitter Spaces Spark program. And if you guys aren't following me at Andrea Renee, maybe now would be a good time to do that if you want to participate, because I am bringing people up on stage to talk with me. So if you ever wanted to have a candid conversation about video games. And some people had some really interesting things to say about what Game of the Year means to them. And then, of course, some people gave some suggestions of what they thought was their personal Game of the Year, which I thought was great to kind of hear from some people about some other games. And all games that I hadn't played yet and that weren't nominated in this list, all different kinds of games, which was really interesting. But I think that Game of the Year is always a little bit contentious because we get such a diverse cross-section of games these days, and sometimes it's hard to really have a de facto game of the year. But even when a big tentpole game wins, it can be contentious. Like, I think about the year that God of War won. Like, to me, like, God of War was the clear winner, but also out that year was Red Dead Redemption 2, not to be overlooked. They did some really innovative things when it comes to technical achievement in gameplay, storytelling, world building, right? Like, I had some problems with that game, but like, I can appreciate the magnificent wonder that that game also was. But it's tough, I think everyone's kind of opinion of what Game of the Year is and who deserves it is quite different.
We could have a whole podcast about that, Andrea.
We really could.
Kinda
I talked about it on Twitter for like 90 minutes.
I was going to say that is such an interesting category. Yeah, I'll never forget that year because I remember one of the main reasons why I wanted God of War to win Game of the Year was because I think Red Dead did some really weird things with its narrative that didn't make sense to me. And to me, that's one of my biggest factors that I take into consideration. Like, what makes sense with the narrative? Did they explore the best they could? And that's why, even though like I really enjoyed Resident Evil Village and I voted for it, I thought personally like there was just some weird things they did with some of the storytelling through the scenes and whatnot. But yeah, it's an interesting medium, video games. But
Yes, it is indeed. Well, there's so many other categories at the Game Awards, and some of the ones that I thought were particularly notable, of course. Best performance is always a favorite. We love seeing and hearing from the voice actors and sometimes screen actors that are making their way into video games. And I gotta be honest, I did not think Maggie Robertson was going to win. Obviously, Lady Dimitrescu has been a viral character with Resident Evil this year, and people loved her, and her performance was great. But whenever you're up against a giant name like Giancarlo Esposito, who played the villain in Far Cry 6, I'm like, oh, it's got to go to the face that people recognize. So I was like pleasantly surprised that Maggie won.
I think it's so fantastic. And I think what Maggie did is just so important because I think she got a lot of people interested in Resident Evil. I mean, granted, like, yes, like she was just the voice, but you know, you have such a a large character, like no pun intended, in Lady D that I think everyone can appreciate, right? She's very unique in that we don't see many antagonists like her. And in she's a vampire, she's hot, she has these lovely assets. And to have voice actors come in and nail that role and make it so everyone can appreciate what Lady D is, I think that like attracted a lot of people to Resident Evil who may or may not have been interested otherwise. And so for that, I'm really happy for her. And in her speech, you know, she's saying, you know, thank you for the gaming community. You've changed my world and blah, blah, blah. And I think that's just lovely. And like I said, you can't underestimate the power of the internet. Like they can make you go viral and give you a whole new career that maybe you never anticipated. But hopefully, you know, she'll get a lot of gigs, and I hope she finds a lot of joy in doing this kind of work, because I think she's going to have no shortage of offers going forward.
I guess I don't know Maggie's story. I guess I just assumed that she had been working in games, but has she not?
I'm looking at her IMDb, and I'm just seeing a lot of she was so it looks like she's done maybe a couple games and that's it, and she just has some other stuff in TV series and movies and stuff, but nothing super like groundbreaking like she did in Village. So yeah, like this could be like a really good start to her maybe already career that was going on, but now hopefully she'll just get a lot more offers. But go Maggie, fuck yeah.
Well, good for
Also,
her.
she looked stunning on the stage. I loved her dress.
She did look great.
Oh, mwah. Yeah.
What other categories do you want to highlight, Britt?
Let's see.
Do you want to talk about the fact that It Takes Two won family game?
Yeah. I think we,
and
I think
how
we should
like
talk about
wild and ridiculous that is.
You know, it's such an interesting category, right? Because okay, best family game, the nominations were It Takes Two, Mario Party Superstars, New Pokemon Snap, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, and WarioWare Get It Together.
Basically all Nintendo all the time.
Yeah, right. Always. It's always a Nintendo category. So it's interesting because I guess how do you define a family, right? I think when you hear family, you immediately think mom, dad, or mom, or dad, and then kids. You know, like how many kids are involved. And so you think of games like Nintendo games, again, like Mario Party Superstars, in my opinion, would have been the number one because everyone can gather around the TV and play that. But, you know, some families don't include children. It's just pets, or maybe it's no pets, or maybe it's just two partners, and that's the family. So it's kind of this weird line of where do you draw the line between family game and multiplayer game? And the official description for best family game is for the best game appropriate for family play, irrespective of genre or platform.
I think the intention is something that is age agnostic, that doesn't really matter what your family composition is, but that it's not like mature rated content, right? That it's something that kids and grandparents can play together, and it's approachable, accessible, and fun, and hopefully innovative and exciting and really well built and well made. And I think the reason why, at least from the outside looking in, that a lot of people have gripes that I've read on Twitter and other platforms, Reddit and whatnot, with It Takes Two winning this category is that It Takes Two has some very controversial themes about family. Even you talked about the scene where you're forced to kill your child's like favorite toy in a really kind of graphic way. and how that there's definitely some really contentious themes about marriage and divorce in the game. And is that appropriate for family play for people of all ages? And I would say probably not. Like, I think that, I guess you could make an argument, well, you should be able to have these tough conversations with your family, but you're not going to have a conversation about divorce with a 6-year-old over a video game, are you?
Right. And I mean, that's where I think, and so this is something we talk about every year, maybe a little bit more specificity on the description when we vote for these categories, right? Would be helpful, because I agree. Like, the description you gave for it is how I think of it as well. But going back to your point, it's interesting because when I first saw this game at a behind closed doors, aka a private video call, like, I don't know, I feel like it was months and months and months ago, and it was hands off, but we got to see Joseph talk about the game and his idea for it. There were those questions brought up by other members of the gaming press of, like, how do you tackle a topic as touchy as divorce and what that means for other people and healthy family dynamics? And his response in his typical fashion was, pretty much, it's not that serious. Like, I want this to be a romantic comedy. I don't want folks to look at this game as it's an actual, as if there's an actual message there. It's kind of like the vibe I was getting from him. But I think you that's hard to nail, because when you're playing a game like this that's so well executed and so well acted, it's hard not to take the story seriously, and it's hard not to listen or try to listen and process the message that you're getting in between the lines when you're playing this. And you're right. I think one of the main issues for this was, if you and your partner aren't right for each other, and you're trying to make your marriage work for the sake of your kid, all you have to do is just work together and live with each other, and it'll just get better. Now, that's not necessarily the definite message that this game is sending, but it's kind of like what it never takes the narrative to that deep level of, like, maybe this isn't going to work after all, but that's okay. You never really get that feeling from playing it. And I think that's where you look at a narrative decision. Is this an appropriate game to play with your kids? I mean, the gameplay is absolutely fantastic. It is so much fun. But, you might have to have that conversation of, like, hey, like, this is just a video game. Don't take the story so seriously. I don't know how you do that. I don't have a kid that's as old, that would appreciate this, but it is definitely an interesting choice. And there are some really interesting narrative decisions that I feel like will be kind of traumatizing. They're traumatizing for adults, like you said, destroying your child's favorite stuffed animal. Very tragic. Still sticks with me to this day. But I mean, yeah, it's a tricky one. Let's just leave it at that. Yeah,
it is a tricky one. They also won Best Multiplayer Game, which I was I was shook by. Not gonna lie. I was like, wow. Beat out Back 4 Blood, Knockout City, and then Monster Hunter Rise, which I don't know why. I don't know why Monster Hunter Rise was not and then New World, and I haven't played any of New World, so I can't speak to Amazon's MMO, but yeah, like. Now, I want people listening to know that I'm not intentionally trying to, like, poo-poo It Takes Two, because Brittany said nothing but great things about it, and you said that you loved it and you enjoyed your time with it. So,
yeah, actually, if there's one category for It Takes Two to win, I would hope it would be best multiplayer game. Like, I do think that deserved to win, because, again, it is designed from the ground up for cooperative play, and I think it's great that a game like this can win, because it's not all about shooting and killing things. I mean, besides your child's favorite stuffed animal. But, it's just literally every level is just built and designed for co-op. So I feel like if there is a category this game should win, it should be this one. And, I admittedly haven't played enough Back 4 Blood or any of these other games, so it's hard for me to say, like, this is definitively the winner, but I would hope that it would win this one. And it did. So cool. And it did.
I think the game that really, to me, I thought that they would win more would be Psychonauts 2 and Ratchet and Clank. Both of those games I don't think won anything all night long.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I think they both got shut out for any awards, which I thought was a little tragic and a little bit of a bummer. But I do want to give a call out to surprise narrative winner, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. I did not anticipate this winning over Deathloop and Psychonauts 2. I was surprised. I mean,
Same.
I've really enjoyed the narrative in Guardians of the Galaxy, and I really appreciated the speech that the team made on stage about how they really tried to focus this story and have this theme of grief kind of underpin a lot of the narrative choices, which is something that you wouldn't expect from a Guardians of the Galaxy narrative, because that Guardians of the Galaxy you think of it being whimsical and fun and wacky, and I thought that this was a big surprise win.
Yeah, agreed. I was not anticipating that at all. I was really thinking Psychonauts 2 was kind of a shoe in here, but as you said, our poor boy Raz just didn't pull through. I mean, but this happens every year. There's always, what was it, Spider-Man one year that didn't win anything?
Yes.
Do I have that right?
Yeah, I think it won Best Action Adventure or Best Action Game.
Oh, so at least it won
and like
something.
that was it. I think it got one award. I'll have to double check on that, but yeah, that was the same year that God of War and Red Dead Redemption 2 came out. 2018.
Oh yeah, okay.
Just got
what a year to release your video game.
I know, right? Exactly. All right, well, let's stop talking about the awards, because you guys can check out all of the winners at thegameawards.com, and instead, let's talk about just a couple of the announcements that happened during the show. But before we do that, I want to let you know that this episode of What's Good Games is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Have you ever been chilling at a cozy coffee shop with your laptop when nature calls and you decide, what the heck, this place seems safe? You just leave all your stuff on your table or you run to the John? No, never done that? Seems like a crazy idea? Well, that's pretty much what using the internet is like if you're not using a VPN. Sure, most of the time, you're probably fine and no one's going to steal your stuff. But what if one day you come out of the bathroom and your laptop is gone? Don't get caught with your pants down, everybody. Protect yourself and your internet browsing with ExpressVPN. Every time you connect to an unencrypted network, cafes, hotels, airports, any hacker on that same network can gain access to your personal data, password, financial details, you name it. And it doesn't take much technical know-how to hack somebody these days. Just some cheap hardware is needed. I mean, heck, even a smart 12-year-old could do it. Now, you might not know how valuable your data truly is. Hackers can make up to $1,000 per person selling your personal info on the dark web. I mean, that's a lot of money when you consider how many people have been hacked these days. But using ExpressVPN can create a secure, encrypted tunnel for your data between your device and the internet so hackers can't steal your sensitive info. It's super secure because it would take a hacker with a supercomputer over 1 billion years to get past ExpressVPN's encryption. And it's super easy to use. Just fire up the app and click one button to get protected. It works on all of your devices, phones, laptops, tablets, and more, so you can stay secure on the go. And particularly this time of year when all of our online shopping reaches a fever pitch as we frantically search for last-minute gifts with overnight shipping, you definitely want to protect your data at all costs, because nobody wants last-minute mother-in-law gifts hanging around in their cookies for their partner to find. Am I calling out what's happening to me currently? Maybe, maybe not. Who could say? Secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/whatsgoodgames. That's expressvpn.com/whatsgoodgames, and you can get an extra 3 months free. expressvpn.com/whatsgoodgames. Brittany, this year at the Game Awards, there were quite a few really interesting announcements in the pre-show. So the Game Awards production team has been doing this more in the last year or two, where they've been kind of tucking what I think are pretty legitimate releases or announcements inside the pre-show, and then we just miss them. The one that I was the most excited about, The Expanse, a Telltale series, is coming. So I can't believe that this is happening. So I love The Expanse. Have you ever watched The Expanse?
Negative.
So I have just gushed about The Expanse, and the reason why is because it's reminds me of the Mass Effect TV series I've always wanted, and we're going to talk about the Mass Effect TV series.
Oh yeah, you've talked about that on the show before, right? The Expanse.
Yeah. So
okay,
this trailer came out during the pre-show, and I'm going to pull up the trailer here from IGN. So if you guys missed it, if you're watching at youtube.com/whatsgoodgames, you can take a look at it. But so this TV show is in its last season now, just launched on Amazon Prime. and it's just a wonderful, wonderful show. And so when I found out that they were making a Telltale series about it, I thought this was going to be great because I absolutely adore the narrative storytelling of Telltale, and I think that it's a great thing to do to make it more accessible to people, because trying to do like an action adventure set in the Expanse universe would be phenomenal and amazing, but boy oh boy will it take years and years to make something like that and make it good. So I think this gives a really easy way to have people get into the universe from a gameplay perspective. So I'm excited about it.
So this is a prequel then?
Yes. So
Okay.
the little blurb says that it's a prequel to the hit TV series. And so we'll hopefully learn more about what they're going to feature. They have, Drummer there in the trailer, and she is what's called a belter, and a belter is a person who is born like on a space station in the outer rim, on the edge of the galaxy belt, and there's like a whole faction system within the Expanse. Yeah,
I get it. I thought maybe like a singer, someone who like belts out a tune, but no. I was very wrong.
No.
Thank you for clarifying.
No problem. So I'm excited about what that game is going to look like, and so that was one of my the first things I noticed from the pre-show. And then I want to call out Thirsty Suitors, because this is a game that I got to talk about when I hosted the Idea at Xbox Indie Game Showcase during the Winter Gathering for Twitch last Friday, which if you guys missed it, you can find it on the Twitch Gaming channel. You can watch the VOD there. But this is from Outer Loop Games. So Outer Loop, of course, is the studio behind Falcon Age. And if you guys don't remember, Falcon Age was that game where you had your little owl friend. Yeah, yes. Exactly. And the reason I wanted to call this out is because and when I spoke to Eka, who is one of the founders of the studio, I said to him, I was like, I saw the name and I just immediately assumed that this was a dating sim. Like Thirsty Suitors sounds like Steimer's next favorite game. But it's not. It's actually an adventure game, and it's got combat elements, it's got cooking elements, and it's all set with this Southeast Asian flair. And you've even got the auntie here in the trailer spinning her barbell like a badass. And I would just really love the color and the art style of this game, and I'm really looking forward to checking this out.
Oh, me too. The blurb is, can Jala handle her demanding parents, reconcile with her exes, and mend broken friendships in time for her sister's wedding? And if you just listen to the dialogue of it, it's so damn cute. It's like her mom like wakes up, like she's just getting out of bed or whatever, and her mom is telling her and lecturing her about how she's mistreated her exes in the past and how she kind of has had this coming, and she just eye rolls and she's like, good morning, mom. And I think it really sets the tone for the kind of game this is going to be, and I love it. And I love these sorts of games. And if you go to Outer Loop's Twitter profile, the bio is a minority-led indie video game studio. And to me, like, that makes this instantly appealing to me, because like I want to play games that are written by people who look different than me, have had different cultural experiences than me. I think that's so important. And through looking at this, it just looks like it has so much personality and so much charm. I don't even really care about the gameplay. I'm just more in it for, the funny encounters with the exes and the funny dialogue between the characters and the relationships there. And I'm really excited about it. It instantly grabbed me and I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So that's coming next year. Oh, no, they didn't put a date on it. This one,
I don't think they put a date on it.
Yeah, that's what Eka said.
Aww.
No date.
No date.
But that's okay. Take your time.
Yeah.
Take your game.
Yeah.
Have fun. Don't crunch. Anything from the pre-show or from the other announcements that you want to call out?
I mean, Tunic, yay, March 16th. I think
finally a date.
Finally,
little foxy friend.
Little fox friend. I mean, of course, it looks like a Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, so I am all about it. This game has looked so cute for so long. We've had our eyes on it for, I think it was announced in 2015. I want to say it was around then. It's been a while. So the fact that we're finally getting it, and it looks so damn charming and so cute, and I love it because this game was developed by just one person, and now the team has expanded. And I love those kind of stories. It reminds me of like the Stardew Valley. It's like one person created this whole experience that changed millions of people's lives. And it just, look at it. And it gives me the vibe of the Link's Awakening remake. with kind of like the cell shaded look and the top down in the dungeons. And I mean, he's a little fox friend and he's so cute. I'm very excited for this. He
Yeah,
even has a green little tunic on, and it's called Tunic. I mean, come on.
it's going to be great.
It's going to be great. Better be great.
So getting into the main show, we got quite a few different announcements. Jeff was not coy about it at all. We're not going to go through them all. I'm just going to call out some of the biggest ones. And I think the one that a lot of people in my feed were talking about and that they were very excited about, of course, was the Wonder Woman game that's coming from Warner Brothers. This was took me by surprise, and I was like, okay, let's go, Wonder Woman.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was fun because before Jeff revealed it, he said he had been, when he was on stage, he was like, yeah, I've been checking the Reddit, been checking the forums to make sure this one didn't leak, and it didn't. So this is going to be a single player open world game where you get to fucking be Wonder Woman. And the Nemesis system is going to be a part of it because of course it is, because it's a monolith game. And I think that's really interesting. I wonder, I mean, I think we know how the system works, but I guess it's like, how is it going to work in a Wonder Woman type game? Like, is it just going to be your normal enemies? And it says here, though, it's going to work with both enemies and allies alike. So, because in the other games that you played, it was just enemies, right? Or did they also use allies for the Nemesis system?
It was just enemies.
Okay.
Definitely don't recall having any allies. That's I don't know how that would work, to be quite honest.
Maybe it's like you pick someone to be the good, like you promote someone and then they're all happy, but maybe their underling kind of gets pissed off at you low key and then you can't bang them. I think that's how all this stuff works.
You know, I like where your head's at, Brittany. What else stood out for you from these announcements?
Splitterhead, of course.
Oh my gosh, yes, Splitterhead.
Pull that footage up, baby girl. Let's talk about some Splitterheads.
Oh my goodness.
I've been thinking about this game for a long, long time. The name Splitterhead. Since it was announced, Splitterhead. I think it's because all the heads become slits, and then from that emerge weird demonic monsters. Anywho, I digress. So, Splitterhead, this is the first reveal from Bokeh Studio, and Bokeh Studio, the creative producer is Kichiro Toyama, aka the creator of Silent Hill. May or may not have heard of him. And it just looks so interesting because it's almost like you have these. The world itself looks almost normal, except for these weird parasitic creatures running around. And the thing is, like the humans that are the hosts for these parasites, I'm just calling them parasites. I don't know what their actual name is. They look normal, and then their heads fucking slit, and then out crawls this big old blah, 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 blah creature. And so I remember looking into Bokeh Studio earlier this year. I believe it was February or December-ish. And they were, Toyama-san was talking about his inspiration for his next game, which obviously hadn't been revealed at that point. But it was, and I quote, regular people being driven into irrational situations, everyday life being shaken. And he also said that he was inspired by those murder game shows like Squid Game or Alice in Borderland. And he said that was a really big inspiration for him as well. And so I'm wondering if this game potentially could have some sort of element like that. Where, because if you look at the trailer, and I may or may not have watched it a few times, it looks like it's a rundown city. So obviously people have been dead and fucked up for a while, but it also looks like there's just normal people going about their day-to-day business in there. And so I'm wondering if there's some sort of game element to this, because the co-founder also said that players will be forced to, quote, make sacrifices throughout the game, and it'll really mess with the player's mind. So I'm obviously like reading a lot into this. We don't know anything about this game other than what we saw during the trailer and what we've seen in interviews from earlier this year. But it looks so interesting in the concept art from those interviews and from what we saw during the trailer. It's so grotesque. I'm just fascinated by it. It's disgusting, but I love it.
I had a feeling that one
you just knew
that one would come up on your list. Another big one that people are talking about that I want to mention, of course, is the return of Alan Wake. Alan Wake 2. So this is a game, what, like 12 years in the waking? 14
in
years?
the waking? Did you just
in
say
the
in
waking?
the waking?
Did I have like a Freudian slip there?
I think you did, but it was great.
So this is, to me, I didn't expect this. I think that bringing back Alan Wake is a really interesting choice. Now is a great time to tell, supernatural, spooky narrative stories. I think that there's been, kind of a renaissance in survival horror as a gameplay genre. I think a lot of people are really interested in looking at what this means. And this definitely, like, they came out and said that this is not like what you think. This is definitely like a survival horror game.
Yeah.
And it's coming in 2023. So
it is. Remedy's busy right now. They have
Yes,
their
they
Control
are.
sequel, Crossfire X. They have this. I'm very excited. I still have not gone back and played the first Alan Wake. I know with the remaster out, I should do that. But just like you say, add it to the pile. Let's just add it.
there's just so many things to add to the pile. I can't not talk about this fantastic trailer, and also because, it's Star Wars. So Star Wars Eclipse. This, to me, is probably one of the standout trailers that we saw at the Game Awards. Obviously, anything with the Star Wars name attached to it is going to get people excited and hot and bothered, and also very angry because the Star Wars fandom is just perpetually mad at itself. And as to be expected, there was, a wide gamut of reactions to the Eclipse trailer, being from Quantic Dream. I think that there's a lot to unpack there. We're not going to spend too much time unpacking it, just to say that I really thoroughly enjoyed Detroit Become Human. I know some people did not care for it, but I think that Quantic Dream as a studio tells very interesting stories in a really different way than we get from a lot of narrative storytelling, particularly in video games. And I think it's going to be interesting to see from a gameplay perspective what they do with this. If it's going to be more narrative focused with fewer gameplay elements, or it sounds to me like they're actually going to be kind of stretching a little bit, flexing their wings, stretching their muscles, whatever you want to call it, and making this probably the biggest gameplay wise that they've ever made. So the little blurb that I found on Game Informer says, while details are slim on the upcoming title, the new game promises that players will play as a diverse cast of charismatic characters, each with their own story, abilities, and role to play in the tapestry of events that could alter the carefully balanced piece of the Outer Rim. And it's being called an action adventure.
Yeah. I'm very excited. I've never really been the biggest Star Wars fan, but when it comes to, again, Quantic Dream, and like you said, there's a lot to unpack there. I think their formula could make for a really great game in the Star Wars universe, because I think it would allow me to really focus on the story and the characters and where the narrative is going and some of the lore, because that's what their games are mostly all about, right? It's like, in Detroit Become Human, there was some, actual gameplay and you would do certain things and move around and interact with objects. But this trailer, and I know we've learned the lesson throughout the years, you don't get too hyped over trailers, but even I was like feeling it in my pants, baby girl. I was like, dang, like this shit is hot.
Yeah.
This is Star Wars Eclipse, and then at the end when it said a hot trailer, and then obviously it said Quantic Dream at the end, and then Twitter kind of, and like you said, like it's hard because I know we've seen the stories, and I think we're seeing at this point it's such a systemic issue within a lot of game studios that there's no real easy answer. And Quantic Dream, is a large studio. I think they have over 200 employees, and there's a lot of good people that work on that studio. And there's no easy answer. When we're never going to claim to have the right answer. I think it's a very personal decision for folks to decide how they want to support these games that they're excited about and the creators who make them.
Yeah.
But all that said, I was looking at a tweet from Tom Henderson, who appears to know what he's talking about, but who could say. And it sounds like this game is believed to be about 3 to 4 years away minimum, and they're currently trying to hire staff to help with it, which, obviously they are. Makes sense. But don't expect this anytime soon if rumors are to be believed. It's about Dying Light. Let's talk about some...
Girl, yes. Let's talk about it. I had a different trailer queued up, but we will wait to talk about Dying Light. I will bring that up right now.
It's okay. Let's talk about this little game called Dying Light. So this game is coming out February 4th, so it's like right around the corner. This trailer, and it was just a cinematic trailer, and I think we're at the point now where we really don't need to see much more about Dying Light. I'm sure there's going to be some like final push for marketing. Of course there is. But I think for me, I'm at the point, Andrea, where I have seen all I really need to see at this point. I don't want to know anymore. But just from like a trailer perspective, again, don't get too hyped over trailers, because how did that, remember Dead Island?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Which is which is so on point for this because that also is Techland's game. And as you're watching this trailer, it's a very sad, somber one. And it essentially is just depicting, people trying to survive. One party has to essentially kill off the other party to survive, ends up dying anyway. But at the very end, there's this kind of slow zoom on one of the characters' eyeballs. And if you remember the Dead Island trailer, that's how that one kind of starts off as, right? Or ends on. And so I just thought it was an interesting little ode to that trailer itself and kind of just shows how far Techland has come as a developer. And it's a really, really talented team. And I'm just excited to see, obviously like this game is one of my most anticipated, but I'm excited to see them do more work and see what else they can do because I think there's just a lot of potential there and a lot of talent there. And it's just hard to believe it's actually coming out in a couple months, even though I feel like it was supposed to come out 15 years ago.
Yes, this game feels like we've been talking about it for ever, many, many years, but they have put out no shortage of developer diaries and behind the scenes looks and gameplay deep dives on their YouTube channel. Lots of press coming out with this game. We talked about how it's officially gold now. So it's definitely coming. February 4th, of course, is the release date, as we just saw there. And I'm with you. I'm excited. And I think having Rosario Dawson as a character in the game, I think is going to be really fun. And, I never thought I would be really interested in what Dying Light's doing. And this game, after I saw a really thorough gameplay deep dive at E3, I'm like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about literally everything that came out because there's just so many trailers.
A lot. It was a 3-hour show.
Yes, it was big, but I have to talk about Dune coming back, baby. That's right. Shit. I've said on this show multiple times that one of my favorite old school PC RTS games of yore is Dune 2, the strategy game. I lived on that game when I was a kid, and I just squeed so loud when this was announced. I think my expectations are low because I haven't played a proper RTS in a while, and quite honestly, that game is so old at this point. It's like 20 plus years old. But I was like, yes, I love that they're doing this. I love that they're bringing this back. It was one of my favorite RTSs. I think it's a great time to bring it back with people talking about the movie, with part 2 of the movie coming out next year. I'm like, yes, let's go. Is this the game that gets me back into RTSs? Dune Spice Wars?
I like how it's called Spice Wars. Is that like, what's the relevance of Spice Wars?
Oh,
are we fighting over cinnamon?
So let me, you open... You kind of
it's
like
okay, you don't have to answer.
So pull up a chair, children. Let me talk to you about the spice of Dune.
Oh, we have to go to war because we're out of paprika.
No, so the spice melange is this psychotropic drug that powers like interstellar space travel in the universe of Dune. And that's just the elevator one sentence I'm going to give you because there's like a really big deep dive I can go to and like what the spice is and how important it is and the literal wars that are fought over who gets to harvest and mine the spice for the Empire and all of that jazz. But let's not open that Pandora's box of me going down a nerdy rabbit hole of Dune lore for people and just say that I'm excited that this game is coming back and that they chose to do the strategy game and to kind of bring back that revival. I can't wait to see the first gameplay demo of this. Whoever is out there in the universe that does PR for this game, please invite me. I want to play your game.
She wants to taste your spices.
Yes.
I also want to talk about another game.
Okay.
I have to say, Sonic Frontiers has me so curious.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So the blurb for this is, an experience like never before. Accelerate to new heights and experience the thrill of high velocity, open zone freedom. Battle powerful enemies as you speed through the Starfall Islands, landscapes brimming with dense forests, overflowing waterfalls, sizzling deserts, and more. I have not been following Sonic. I have not been following the games that are in the Sonic universe, so I will be the first to admit that this definitely caught me by surprise. But when it was panning to all of the different biomes in the areas, I was like, oh my God, it looks so pretty. We have the water, we have little valleys, we have flowers and waterfalls, and just all these gorgeous, gorgeous landscapes and towers, and just the idea of playing as Sonic. And again, I know this again, another CG trailer. Who knows what the game's actually going to play and look like? It just sounds so damn fun just to get in there and roll around as a tiny blue hedgehog and go, like, I don't know how fast he goes. I'm sure someone knows out there, but and just roll around and experience it. And real talk, the first thought I had was, I hope Breath of the Wild 2 looks as good as this, and I wish Pokemon Legends Arceus looked like this, but they don't. But that's okay. We're not going to talk about that right now. This is not the place for that.
Because this is a multi-platform game, and those are not. Sorry, Brittany. You can actually see the blades of grass in Sonic Frontiers. You can't.
Yeah, there's
the games you mentioned.
Actually textures. It's kind of nice to see. Anyway, yeah, I thought this looked really good. I know some people lost their minds, and I think that's fantastic. Also, the Sonic 2, the official trailer. Why is Knuckles hot? Who could say? It's weird. I would have thought I outgrew this. I would have thought I would have been over him by now, but my 5-6-year-old self is still all about that fucking red little rodent, whatever he is.
Well, I mean, it doesn't help that Idris Elba voices him like, whew, that man.
Oh my god. Yeah. Echidna? I don't know how to say that. Echidna. That's what he is. And I just looked at a real photo of one of these creatures, and oh my god, that is absolutely horrifying.
Wait, what is it?
Echidna? Echidna?
Echidna. There it is.
Echidna. Oh fuck, Echidna. Sorry, friends. Echidna is how you pronounce it.
He looks like a little porcupine.
Yeah, I know, but look at it. Like, Andrea, I'm attracted to the anthropomorphic version of that. That's weird. I think I need to go talk to someone. I don't know what it means.
I don't know what it means. Amazing.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move on from the Game Awards because I know you guys are probably like old news. Let's talk about just a couple of new news items. And the first one I want to bring up is that PlayStation finally decided to do some customizing for the console.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's the story.
Oh, I thought you were going to read a story. That's okay.
No. Okay, so from the PlayStation blog, new DualSense wireless controller colors arrive next month, followed by new PS5 console covers. So we suspected that due to the design of the PS5 that the fins were going to be customizable. And surprise, they are. According to the PlayStation blog, they are going to be coming in Nova Pink, Starlight Blue, Galactic Purple, and adding to the previously released Cosmic Red and Midnight Black DualSense wireless controllers, the latest Galaxy-inspired colors will launch globally starting in January 2022 at participating retailers. So let me bring up a little.
These are hot.
Let me bring up a little video here so that you guys can check this out.
Yeah, this isn't super surprising because I feel like it was just a couple months ago that there was someone else who was making these. D-Brand, I believe, was the name of the manufacturer, and they received a cease and desist from Sony to stop selling those. And then lo and behold, a couple months later, here Sony is with their own. I mean, it's just people are so quick to make these things that I know there's a reason for everything, but you would have thought that maybe Sony would have launched these a while ago. But they're out now, and now don't you dare try to make your own plates because Sony's going to send you a C&D.
Yeah.
And that'll be it.
Well, I think they'll come around eventually, right? But, like, it's no surprise that their legal is like, no, buy ours first. Because custom controllers have been a thing for a long time. Somebody tweeted to me, was like, do you think that this is going to be better than Colorware's custom controller? And I was like, I don't know. Colorware makes great custom controllers. It certainly will be cheaper because Colorware is expensive.
Yeah.
But they're really nice and they last a long time. So, but the purple and the pink, let's go.
Oh, man. You know what color I really like of these that hasn't been getting love? That sky blue. I'm really feeling it.
Okay.
I really like that color. The purple and the pink, it's perfect WGG color. Sony, get in touch with our lawyer. We see what you're doing, stealing our shit.
We own the pink and purple combo.
We do. It's true. We own, and we'll accept settlement in a cool sum of like a few mil. We'll get in touch with you. But no, I really like that blue color. I think Starlight Blue is what it's called. It's really pretty.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, you can customize your PS5 if you can get a PS5. Maybe Santa will bring you one this year. Someday they'll have PS5s available for people to buy when this global chip shortage finally ends. All right, moving on to our last story of the week. Henry Cavill would love to have a conversation about the Mass Effect TV series. So you guys may or may not remember that last year we talked about a tease that Henry Cavill did on his Instagram account where he alluded to potentially working on a secret Mass Effect project. And we were all like, yes, Daddy, please be Commander Shepard. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have confirmation. Okay, we don't have confirmation. We have rumors that a Mass Effect TV series is in the works. Right. Almost confirmation, but rumors still technically. And now, speaking to Games Radar, Henry Cavill has said that his interest in the project depends on how closely the adaptation stays true to the original games. So if you guys have missed it, Henry Cavill's been doing a ton of press right now because The Witcher Season 2 on Netflix is about to release. And so he's been doing interviews with everybody except for us, apparently. And... well, we don't cover TV. I don't blame his PR for not reaching out. So he told Games Radar... he's very much so interested, all depending on how they're executing it. The world of adaptation can be heavy or light. When I like a product, I prefer the adaptation to be less changed from the source, so it all depends. The actor added that if Mass Effect series officially finds a home, he would love to have a conversation. Ooh. So last month is when the reports came out saying that Amazon was nearing a deal with EA to create a Mass Effect adaptation. So I'm excited about that for two reasons. One, Henry Cavill is great. I think he's a wonderful actor, and I love his nerd cred and think he would be a great Commander Shepard. But two, as I mentioned earlier in the show, I think Amazon is a great home for a Mass Effect adaptation because I loved what they did with The Expanse, and they've already kind of set the groundwork that they can do a big sci-fi series. And so make it happen, Amazon. You've got the money. EA wants all your money. Just give it to them and make Mass Effect happen.
You have very good reasons. I have a very shallow reason, and it's just that he's fun to look at. He's just nice to look at. Put that man on my TV as often as he can, and I will not complain.
Yeah.
I don't care. He can be Garrus. I don't give a fuck. If he Garrus his body with Henry Cavill's face, could you imagine that monstrosity? Oh, God. Speaking of Henry Cavill, I just saw, I think it was last week, he was on the Graham Norton show. I believe that's right. And he was talking about some of his nerdy hobbies. And I don't know this show. I don't even know who Graham Norton is. I just saw the headline. Anyway, the host, assuming that's Graham, was like low-key giving him shit for being a nerd and painting his miniatures.
What?
And I, like, watch it. It's a little shady. And
dang, I usually like Graham Norton stuff. That bums me out.
He was kind of doing the thing of like, so you paint them? Question mark, you know, kind of like insinuating like, okay, you do that weird.
He was talking down to his nerdy stylings,
right?
Like it's dumb.
Yeah, and I just thought that was so fascinating because you can literally be like one of the most attractive people on this planet, be ripped as shit,
and a super successful actor. Yeah,
exactly. Have an incredibly successful career, but you talk the minute you talk about loving nerd shit. It's just like, it doesn't matter who you are. And I just thought that was really eye-opening because I think, you know, all of us kind of live in our own little echo chamber of like, we support what we all love. We love what we love. We try to uplift each other. But then you forget like there's that big old world out there. It doesn't matter. You can be fucking Henry Cavill and you'll still get flipped some shit. So just, you know, don't listen to the naysayers, friends. You're awesome. And what you love is great. Just, it's made me a little upset, just a little. You know?
It's interesting because the YouTube title for the video says Henry Cavill's adorably nerdy hobby, the Graham Norton show, and I'm like, but do you think it's adorable and fun, or are you talking down to him like he's a grown man behaving like a 6-year-old?
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. Wait till they find out how successful the video game and nerd industry is and how much money it generates. No one seems to know that. They never seem to talk about that, do they? No.
It's almost like people want to be involved in video games and then they poo-poo our communities like we're not good enough. But then they're like, oh, video games make literally more money than TV and film combined. Oh, I guess these gamers know what's up. And it's like, you know what? Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Just kindly go fuck yourself out the door. Thanks. Go run into one of those characters from Splitterhead too while you're at it. I don't care.
Don't poo-poo us. It's okay to be nerdy and paint minifigs.
Absolutely.
That's actually a very difficult artistic talent,
It
okay?
is. It's not easy. Listen, I can barely like paint those watercolor things, where you just take like a wet brush and you paint like a blank piece of paper.
You literally just put
like,
water on it and the colors
Yeah.
appear? Yes.
And mine bleed everywhere. I can't even handle that. Let alone minifigs. Listen, my Microsoft Paint skill is very exclusive in the sense that's all my artistic skill is at is Microsoft Paint. Anything outside of that, I can't do for shit. I don't know. Again, people just poo-poo. No poo-pooing.
Yeah.
No poo-pooing in 2022. No poo-poo 2022. No poo-poo. There's a rhyme there. There's a theme there somewhere.
No poo-poo 2022. No poo-poo 2022.
2022. Yes.
There we go. We got it.
We did it. Nailed it. Nailed it. Buy our concert tickets next week. We'll be there.
I mean, we have gotten offered record deals in the past, so you might want to like strike while the iron's hot on this up-and-coming actor, okay? Oh, boy. All right, that's going to wrap up the news for the week, and we're just going to quickly transition into what we've been playing because it's going to be relatively brief. I haven't had as much time to play, which I talk about extensively in next week's episode, as I would like. But Brittany, obviously you're still on that Final Fantasy IX train. We don't need to talk about that again. But do I see that you've gone back to Dragon Age Inquisition?
I have.
Yes, I love this for you.
Thank you. I don't know what's going on with me right now. Like we've said many times, my backlog is up to my eyeballs, but I am playing Final Fantasy IX and Dragon Age Inquisition right now. They're very, and I mean, in real talk, like Andrea knows, but like I have a lot of stressful shit going on behind the scenes right now. So I'm kind of in this mood for chicken soup for the soul type experiences, and Final Fantasy IX gives that to me. And the world of Dragon Age Inquisition is so vast, and there's so much lore and it's been forever since I visited that world. I mean, gosh, that game came out in what, 2015, 24. I feel like it was 14, 15-ish. And I'm just missing it. I just want to go back and I want to read all about the Chantry and the Templar and the Fade and the Veil and Solus. And it's just a really good, healthy way to kind of escape real world problems right now. And I am just having so much fun playing it. And I guess I kind of forgot like how excellent that game really, really is. And I mean, the last time I played it was when it released, and that was forever ago. And so now I'm going back to it, and I'm just like, damn, like BioWare, like when they nail it, they fucking nail it. And just really excited to see where the future of that studio goes for many reasons. But it's felt good to get back to it. And it's just so good.
I mean, this game was a Game of the Year game when it came out in 2014. You know, like I think sometimes it's easy to forget, all the accolades that this game got. And I think what Dragon Age Inquisition does really well in the RPG genre is that because it really forayed really heavily into the co-op action combat, like we got to see a different thing from BioWare in the sense that this was the combat that I wanted in Mass Effect. This was the co-op gameplay that I was hoping for to be a little bit more robust as far as strategy and being able to command my teammates to do certain things. And we got, a little bit more of that, but I'm hoping in Mass Effect 4 they take it even one step further and allow us to hot swap between characters like we saw in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like that to me is really fantastic co-op action combat that I look for in an RPG. And this game just really grabbed you with its narrative and, of course, as BioWare is known for, their choices that impact the way that your story plays out. And I remember being in the hinterlands, the first area you get to in the game, and thinking, wow, this game is so long and so big. I can't believe that I've been playing for so long. And then you like open up the next section and you're like, wow, I'm a fool. Like this is like the tip of the freaking iceberg. This game is enormous.
I know, and that's just it. So that's why it just sounds like the perfect game right now. And now that we're going into our own winter break, it's just soothing. And when this game first released, it was November 18th of 2014. I checked. And I remember because I had all my Christmas decorations up and it was all cheerful. And now I have all my Christmas decorations up again. And it's the kind of game that I just keep thinking about every holiday season, but I never get to. But this year I'm making it happen. And
nice.
It's scratching that itch. And also, if time we're here, fuck egg.
Oh
Mother.
Shit.
I know. And it's really, it's the first time I've played it since I finished it. So it's really interesting to play it knowing what I know about all of the characters and the roles they ultimately play. And the writing is just brilliant because obviously the writers know everything. So when they write these lines, they seem so innocent when you're playing it for the first time, and then you go back after everyone's true motivations, and you're like, "Ooh, that has a whole new meaning." But it's so good. Such a
Gosh,
good
now
game.
you're making me want to go back. I don't have time to go back to
I know,
Inquisition.
Andrea. I know.
I
It's
can't. My
bad.
backlog from 2021 is deep.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh boy. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping, and I promise, I'm not just hoping, I promise that when we're back for our next live episode in January, I will have new games to talk about. But I have just been in a funk when it comes to video games. It's been really challenging with my daughter and just what she's going through with her sleep patterns right now. And then when I do find myself with like an hour or two to play something, I just like my mental motivation just hasn't been
It's
there.
hard.
So
Yeah.
I've just been playing my Lego Star Wars Battles on my phone. I ended at number 1 on the leaderboards in the last round. So
Hey, you.
go me.
Hey. Good job.
Grinding away and just enjoying some stuff. So, and I downloaded the game that Janet Garcia recommended. And let's see here. What was the name of that game? Grindfest, I believe.
Oh.
I don't know. Yeah, Grindstone.
I was like, that sounds grindy.
That's the game that she was like, you should play this on your phone. So I have it queued up, ready to go. And then John got a Switch OLED, which we talked about back when Danny and Brianna were on the show when it came out. And I'm going to set that all up very carefully.
Okay, good.
Before my trip home, because we're going to be on the road for about 11 days with a 7-month-old. God save me.
Got this.
And I'm looking forward to playing some games on my Switch.
Hell yeah, girl.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
Maybe even I'll open up my Animal Crossing island for shits and giggles.
Oh, ambitious. You're getting ambitious.
I know. Ambitious. It's tough because this time of year I love decorating for winter, but I don't have like hardly any of the holiday recipes, and so it bums me out.
Oh, can you get them?
I mean,
Still?
or in Jesus maybe if I do a little praying at the altar
Yeah, well, I'll
of
pray
the
for you at
balloon
the altar.
gods. Please drop the recipe that I need. Stop dropping clay. I don't need any more fucking clay. Oh my goodness. Don't get me started, Brittany.
I'm not. I'm done.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, and we are done for 2021. Please join us next week for the What's Good Game Awards and for the show on New Year's Eve, the most anticipated 2022, both fun conversations. Thank you so much to everybody who has supported us in yet another year of the ongoing pandemic, and a year where it was wild for you and me as new moms and going through my hospitalizations, you and Steimer having to cover, Steimer doing that weird soliloquy show, and then Steimer leaving the show.
I know.
Oh, what a year 2021 has been. But we will be back in 2022. Back at it. You think What's Good Games is defeated by 2021? Nay, sirs.
Oh no. Listen, if we can survive 2020 and 2021 back to back, I think we're good.
Yeah.
I think we'll be doing this show until we're like 90. I think we're fine.
Like Mari Takahashi said, just gaming grandmas still making content, streaming on Twitch.
God.
I love it. I love it. All right, everybody. Have a fantastic holiday with your friends and family. We hope that you get to play some fun video games, eat some great food, and hopefully get some great naps. Bye, everybody.